Welcome to the recorded version of What's My Worth, where we will talk about evaluating job offers and the salary negotiation process. This is the agenda of the topics that we'll be going over. So why is negotiation important? The parts of an offer letter, benefits, the process of salary negotiation, how to handle multiple offers, reneging on an offer, and leaving your mark. By the end of this workshop, you'll be able to explain why negotiating is important. You'll be able to research salary trends and determine where you might fit within a range. And you'll be able to understand the process of negotiating for salary as well as other benefits. Down below, we have our NACE career readiness competencies. This workshop and salary negotiation as a process addresses your ability to think critically because it is forcing you to analyze your own skills and abilities according to the data that you find through different salary calculators and industry trends. It also requires you to be effective in your communication. Negotiating is all about the how you communicate a reasoned argument clearly, persuasively, and concisely is extremely important. Lastly, for career and self-development, through this process, you'll be able to translate your skills and your abilities as they relate to the position that you're seeking in order to negotiate and secure that higher salary or other benefits that you're seeking. Here we have all of our NACE career readiness competencies. So for background, NACE stands for the National Association of Colleges and Employers. Members of NACE include college career centers as well as employers, including employers from the Fortune 500 companies. So they come together and particularly with regard to the career readiness competencies, college career center professionals and employers have come together to agree upon these competencies that they believe broadly prepare college graduates for a successful transition into the workplace. So what does this mean for you as a student? This means that these are the skills that we recommend that you develop, that employers want to see in their applicants for internships as well as for full-time roles. And the great thing about these competencies is that they're not really industry or position specific. For the most part, all of these are, you're able to develop these in a wide variety of different experience. So maybe it's through a student organization, a group project for a class, volunteering, research. It can be a wide variety of different things. So we highly encourage you to get involved if you aren't already. If you are, that's great. Come see us and we can talk more about how you can communicate these things to an employer, particularly for salary negotiation, how you can communicate the skills that you have in your effort to argue why you deserve a higher salary or why you deserve these benefits that you're seeking. There are several reasons why negotiating is important. One of them is due to the gender pay gap. So the fact that women tend to make 81 cents to every dollar that white men earn. And then if you combine that with race and ethnicity, that intersectionality makes that disparity even larger. Many employers are also open to negotiating and expect it. They often know that their first offer is low and hope that you accept because that's what benefits them. And you are not putting your job at risk by attempting to negotiate. Like I said, many employers expect that and often have room to increase their first offer by 5 to 10%. The success rate for negotiating an offer by students is usually 80%, so it's definitely worth taking that, not even a risk, but taking that opportunity to come up with an argument, do your research on why you deserve a higher salary. There's also a disparity when it comes to negotiating. So male graduates are 29% more likely to attempt negotiating than women. Women tend not to negotiate due to gender norms as well as imposter syndrome. So that is also what attributes to the disparities. Here's an example of an offer letter and what to look for in an offer letter. It's really important that you make sure that all of the details are accurate based on your negotiating, because you're only promised what is in writing. So if you agreed on something and it is not included in the offer, it is important to follow up with your employer and make sure that that gets in writing as well. So important things to take note of is the position title within the offer letter, the start date, your salary and benefits, conditions. So here we have this offer is contingent upon a successful background check, as well as the response deadline. So this example doesn't have a response deadline, but other offer letters might have that, and it's important to make sure that you are aware of that and respond in a timely manner. So here we have the position title, which is the area manager. Here we have the overview of the salary and benefits. So the conditions, again, the offer is contingent upon a successful background check. And there we have the salary highlighted, which is $55,000. When it comes to negotiating, people often think of salary. It is the most common monetary aspect of your job that you see, but your employer is also investing in you much more than that. So benefits can add up to 30% of your total compensation, and it's important to know that salary and benefits are negotiable. So these are some examples of different types of benefits. So I would encourage you to pause this slide, take a look at each of the different benefits and think about which ones are and aren't important to you. I think that this is a really important process when you are, before you even start the negotiation process, to think about the things that are important to you and what you want out of an offer. So while it is important to negotiate, there are times when you may not need to negotiate. So some of those are if you're completely entry level, if you don't have the experience and skills that qualify you for that higher salary, you shouldn't negotiate. If the offer is reasonable and you're happy with it, you shouldn't negotiate just for negotiation's sake. Other examples are for highly structured jobs. So the military, for example, usually you would not negotiate for a job in the military, as well as jobs with a known salary or positions with an undifferentiated applicant supply. So this means that there are no specific qualifications. So it's hard in these cases to make the argument that you are more qualified than others. So here we have some of the different types of compensation. So these are some things that you will probably see when you're looking through a job description. So to be determined, depends on qualification, base plus commission, commensurate with experience, and monthly stipend. So now that we've explained why salary negotiation is important, as well as the different aspects of an offer, we're going to go into the art and the process of salary negotiation. So before engaging in the negotiation process, it's really important to start doing your research on how much a certain occupation makes in terms of salary. And it's best to find like a range, and you can always look this up according to location on different websites. So there's Glassdoor, PayScale, the NACE salary calculator, and salary.com. Once you've determined the range for a specific occupation, think about your own education, experience, and skills to help you determine where you might fall within that range. And I believe some of these websites can help you. I believe salary.com, for example, you can put in different things like how much experience you have, your education as well, and it'll start to narrow down that range further and determine where you fall within it. Other things to consider are the location and size and industry of the company. So cost of living can vary depending where you're living. So if you're living in San Francisco, for example, the cost of living might be a lot higher than if you find a job in the Riverside area and you live in Riverside. So take those things into consideration. Also, if you get hired at a startup, there might not be as much opportunity for you to negotiate because they probably will not be able to offer you as much as maybe like a larger Fortune 500 company, for example. And here we have the industries with the highest levels of employment in accountancy broken down by industry. And then here you can see the employment, the percent of industry employment, as well as the annual mean wage. So even within accounting and auditors, the mean wage can vary a lot according to the industry as well. When discussing salary, let the employer provide the first offer. So when you're filling out an application, it might ask you to specify or input the salary that you're desiring. You can try to leave it blank if possible. If you're required to input text, write negotiable. However, if you have to include a number, try to provide a range instead of specifying a specific number. So this kind of goes back to the beginning of the recording where I believe it said 84% of employers are willing to increase their initial offer by 5 to 10% upon the negotiation that they expect employees to engage in with them. So I think that it's important to let the employer provide that first offer and see where they're kind of willing to start off at, and then you can go further and negotiate for a higher salary or for additional benefits, depending on what your needs are and what you're looking for. So in the interview, the employer might ask about what you're hoping in terms of salary. Try to deflect that and by saying things like, I'll consider any reasonable offer, or even things like, I'd like to discuss the job first to determine whether it's the right fit and that you're offering me the job, or I'm very interested in the job and the company, but it depends on the offer. I'd be glad to respond to a specific offer. So the first and the third one kind of puts that initial offer on in the hands of the employer, whereas the second one kind of focuses on the fit as opposed to salary. So this communicates your commitment to the position and that you're interested in more than just money. So during the offer process, I think the second example here is especially powerful. So my research tells me that someone with my skills, education, and qualifications doing this job earns between blank and blank with a median salary of blank. So if you happen to be required to give them a number, I think that responding in this manner shows that you have done your research on what is the expected range within the occupation that you're pursuing, and also you're aware of your value as well and how you fit within that range. So I think that this statement, especially if you happen to be required to give the employer, a specific number, it's really important to do your research as early as possible, so that you are equipped and you are empowered to be able to respond in a way that shows the employer that you cared enough to prepare and that you know your value. So on this slide, we have some points to consider when you're preparing a counteroffer, as well as an example counteroffer in writing that is actually adapted from a UCR student's real counteroffer that they prepared for an employer. And in this example, the student got everything that they asked for. So we're presenting that to you and hope that this will be helpful if you are preparing a counteroffer. So when preparing a counteroffer, aim for a realistic target salary, be explicit in your request, use the research you have done as evidence to support your request, as we've been mentioning throughout the last few slides especially. Consider non-monetary benefits. So again, benefits can add up to a total of 30% of your compensation, so don't forget benefits, and especially consider which benefits are especially important to you. Know your bottom line and be prepared to say no. So if the offer does not meet your needs, you are not obligated to say no. I know that a lot of you are looking for employment, and that's kind of, for some of you, that might be the end goal, but I think it's important to find employment where your worth is valued. Remember to consider gross versus net income and take advantage of the financial wellness program at UCR, so they can help you consider things like your budget and plan for that, and consider things like rent and school loans, food costs, all of that. So I think they can be a very valuable resource to help you generate what you need, determine what it is that you need in terms of a salary, an offer, and also benefits, so that you can be prepared when preparing a counteroffer. So in this example, we have, hello, HR manager. It is great hearing back from you. I hope that everything is well. Thank you for sending me this offer. I'm excited about the opportunity to work at XYZ company. I would like to discuss a few aspects of the offer that I would like to modify. So I think it's important here that the student thanked the HR manager for the offer, but then quickly went into some of the aspects of the offer that they would like to discuss. And here's where we get into the argument of why they believe that they are worth more than what is being offered to them. I believe I am a good fit for this position and will be able to add value to the ABC team from day one. I've demonstrated a strong understanding of engineering principles by passing the FE certification exam and by maintaining a 3.65 GPA. I've utilized these principles to design the C++ embedded software and hardware for printed circuit boards using Altium Designer. During my experience as an engineer in the Society of Automotive Engineers, as a software intern for the 123 company, I improved data collection and analysis efficiency by programming Python scripts. It is for these reasons that I would like to propose a counter offer. The current offer is for a starting salary of $72,009. I would like to propose a starting salary of $78,750 annually based on the average salary for this position reported by salary.com. Additionally, I would like to discuss the possibility of using the educational assistance benefit to pay for my remaining tuition expenses for my senior year of undergraduate education, as well as the paying back of student loans. So in the second paragraph, it's kind of like a cover letter where you're using your accomplishments and drawing from previous experiences to argue why you are a good fit. This time for not only the position, but also why you're worth a higher salary. Then at the end, they concretely specify a realistic and specific target salary of $78,750 from the original $72,000, and they also specified the benefit of tuition reimbursement as well as student loans. So the student here specified some of the non-monetary benefits that were important to them. Now I'd like you to take some time to visit the NACE Job Seeker Salary Calculator. The link is in the description below. Take time to fill this out, including the information for the state that you hope to work in or you plan to work in, the specific region within that state, the occupation, number of years of experience toward this occupation, and your educational background. All of this information is going to help the salary calculator provide you with the best estimate of where you kind of stand in terms of like the range of salaries for that particular role. I would also suggest that you take time to think about the different components of an offer that are important to you beyond salary. So when you are presented with an offer, you're already aware of these things and you know what things to prioritize and ask for. So if you are ever juggling multiple offers, first, congratulations for receiving multiple offers. It can be difficult to try to decide and make a decision between the different offers. So it's important to think about the work you'll be doing, the environment that you'll be in, and if you have a preferred industry. So for example, again, going with the accounting example we started earlier, do you want to be an accountant in government or do you want to be in accounting at Disney, for example? So consider all of these options below as well as others to make the best decision for you. So salary, location, work-life balance, company culture, long-term goals, as well as in addition to salary, as we've been discussing, other benefits that are important to you as well. If you need more time to consider an offer, don't be afraid to ask the employer for more time to be able to do so. During this time, you can ask to meet with key colleagues that you didn't get to meet in the interview. You can also discuss the offer with friends and family or with us at the Career Center so that you can make the best decision for you. And be open with employers when given one offer and in the interview process for another position. And by being open with the employer, you can kind of gauge their intentions. So the employer who has offered you the position will hopefully give you more time and give you more room for salary negotiation. In the interview, if you let them know that you have received an offer with another employer, the employer that you're interviewing with may be able to speed up the process or tell you immediately if other candidates are a priority. So being transparent in this part of the negotiation process is really important. Lastly, we want to talk about reneging. So what is reneging? It is going back on a promise or commitment. So if you accept an offer and you go back to it because you receive a better offer from an employer, that would be reneging on an acceptance. Why should you avoid it? It damages your reputation and potentially UCR. So it could be something that could harm future UCR students who maybe apply for a position with the employer that you burned that bridge with. So think about the brand that not only you are building for yourself, but UCR brands as well. And lastly, what if you need to renege? So there are situations where it is acceptable, but seek help with your career specialist to navigate this conversation before doing so. So one example of that is if you're converted from an intern position to a full-time position and you don't hear back from the employer. So let's say that you were offered this job, this full-time conversion in September to begin for the next summer after you graduate, and you don't hear back from the employer and it's like April or May. In this case, it is acceptable to renege during the academic year after you're offered the position, and before going into summer you should be constantly getting information from the employer, and they should be excited to have you on board, so you should have that constant communication with them. So if it gets to April or May and you have not heard from them, in this case it would be acceptable to renege. But the bottom line is that you should never accept one offer with the intention of reneging if a better opportunity comes along. Lastly, leave your mark by telling us about your post-graduation plans in the first destination survey that you receive closer to graduation. So if you plan on pursuing additional education, or if you are going to go into a full-time position, or if you're still looking for a job, please let us know. All of the information is kept in aggregate, meaning that your information will never be shared with your name. But we use this information like the job title, company, location, grad school, and the salary to show various stakeholders the value of a UCR degree. So that could even include future students who might be interested in coming to UCR. So also tell your faculty and deans what you're up to after graduation as well, and we also provide this input into our professional association NACE in order to inform our practices as well. Another way to leave your mark is by inputting your salary into maybe the websites that you used to do research on salary, such as salary.com, Glassdoor. So in that way, you're also paying forward the information that you can provide, and this might be able to assist future professionals, future new professionals especially, maybe to advocate for themselves and empower them to negotiate for those higher salaries. So this really is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to salary negotiation, but I hope that after watching this video recording you have a new perspective on salary negotiation. I know that it can be very intimidating, and you might just want to accept the first offer that you're given, but our hope is that through this video recording that you feel empowered to do additional research and evaluate your worth and communicate your value to employers to negotiate for a higher salary or more benefits. We encourage you to join the new UCR Career Network, which is an online community for networking, mentoring, and job opportunities for alumni and students. It's a great way to connect with all Highlanders, whether they are current or former students. You can register at careernetwork.ucr.edu. If you have additional questions about salary negotiation, the process, or you want to look over a specific job offer letter that you have received with your specialist, feel free to schedule a 30-minute or more counseling appointment or express career advising appointment by visiting Handshake or by visiting our website, careers.ucr.edu, which has specific detailed instructions on how to create both of these appointment types. These are our hours for the office as well as express career advising hours. Thank you so much for watching, and we hope to see you soon.